the quiet moments before the world wakes up, there's a place where pain meets peace, where every breath feels like a prayer and grief stands still. We carry the weight of what was and search for meaning in the smallest things. And sometimes all it takes is one moment to remind us we're still here, still healing.
All right, all right. You guys know who it is. And thank you guys for tuning in today for another episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. You guys know who it is. This is Tony Lynch. And yes, we are your number one podcast for bringing you stories around death, dying, and grief, all the messiness that comes in between with some amazing people out here doing some amazing things, out here changing people's lives one heartbeat at a time. Now, if this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor. Head on over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And most importantly, this is a live stream. So if you have any questions for either myself or the guest or my guest, please put them in the comment section. We'll be sure to answer them as we go. Now, without further ado, well, one other thing before I start. This is for educational purposes only. Okay. Now, without further ado, help me welcome my next guest, Miss Reynolds, to the show. Adonia, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Most definitely. So now we had the chance to talk and everything, and coming into the new year, I have to ask this question: was there any big things that you um kind of wrote down to say that you wanted to complete this year?
Yeah, so I like to do some tarot cards and things of that. I believe that I come from a spiritual belief, so
Hmm.
using the tarot cards is my way of just helping regulate my emotions and setting myself up for the day and how do I want to process and move forward with intention. So for the new year, I did a big card spread, and my intention was to move into 2026 with love, prosperity, and balance in nature, home, and family. And that was something I chose because I don't want to overcomplicate what I'm asking from the universe.
Mm, okay, I like that. Do you now? With that being said, out of curiosity, do you believe that most people overcomplicate um, their thoughts or their wishes from the universe when they're asking for things? Because I know for me, I ask for very simple things, health, um, wisdom, prosperity, to be able to grace others that surround me who may be less fortunate than me, but also to move with humility and hope. So those simple things like that, and the most important thing is to be the best at what I do and what I give back into the world, right? Um, so do you believe that people overcomplicate their thoughts or their wishes or dreams to the universe?
I mean, everybody has their own perspective on that. For me, I do find that when I've tested it, where
Uh,
I've put too much out there with too many stipulations and I want it like this or like
mhm,
that, I found that it just didn't deliver the same. But when I didn't hold, I just held on to the intention. And I feel that when people just hold on to that faith and that belief, and then they set that out with love and with the idea of it being for the greater good of themselves, living their best
mhm.
life for themselves, for the people they love. The universe, and kind of the same as what you energy you put in is what you receive. If you think negative, negative's what comes back. So I do believe that if we attach too many, I guess, options, we're gonna take longer to receive that from the universe because it's bouncing, trying to
Mm,
find what it is, and it gets, doesn't mean it won't come, it just might take a lot longer. But if we're just open to receive whatever it is that we're meant to be doing, whatever the path is that I'm meant to be walking on, the way that I'm meant to be helping people, I do believe that comes in full fruition faster
Mm,
because you don't
okay.
have so many things in the way.
Mm. And see, I love that, right? Because the thought of consciousness and manifestation play a factor in that. And so I'm a huge dreamer, right? I have a lifestyle that I've dreamed about, and for the most part, I have built these things from nothing, and and it encourages me to encourage other people not to look at what I have, but to pay attention to the journey of me getting there, right? Because there was a lot of growth in all aspects of it, right? And what it made me realize was that um dreams do come true, right? Because if you look back on it now, to see everything before 7 years ago, none of this existed. So
Hmm.
it's like, wow, but most people can't see past um the mindset aspect of it. And I think a lot of that goes with fear and everything. Now, before we go any further in that, introduce yourself to the audience. So tell people who you are, where you're from, and about the work that you do.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Andonia Reynolds, and my journey has, I feel, has been laid out before I was even born.
Mm,
And what I do is, by being true to myself, I have the ability to help, sorry, help people in reconnecting to self through nature, with
mhm,
animals, and play with the rhythm of life. And it's for anybody. It's right on the outdoors. It's something people have access to. But what happens that I'm noticing is we're getting distracted
mhm,
with the future or with the past, and we sometimes just need somebody to guide us in how to get back to our true selves. So what I
mm,
do is I help people with my horses, or using my philosophy with horses and how they live in the present. They're still aware of their surroundings. They're still living with a mindset of having to be aware of everything that's happening around them. But by living in the present, we can be more grounded and prepared for a intentional step in life, living our best self. We miss a lot of things when we're too busy with the day to day. And we have many hats that we're wearing, whether that's the student, the parent, the entrepreneur, whatever it is in anybody's day to day. So I help just to slow people down enough to really figure out what are the layers that are serving you and which ones are not. And that's where the horses come in for me as well. Is
mhm.
I use them whether they're with me physically, or if we're working just with the philosophy of the horse. But with the horse, it's really cool because what happens is they pull it out of you, whatever you've been pushing down. You might come in thinking you're working on a limited belief about anxiety, and it turns out you're actually building a belief around boundaries. They pull those things out of you, and then as a guide, as a person who follows through nature and being in the present, I help deliver what the horse is trying to share with you by
Okay,
reframing
okay,
narratives. Yeah.
okay. Well, that makes perfect sense, right? I think you and I we've talked about this a couple of times. You know, this journey that we've on. Now we may have slightly, different opinions on certain things, but that's totally fine as well. I believe that just like you said, our paths are already laid out for us. But it took me a long time to realize that. Doing this work now for 7 years, being working in grief, I never thought that I'd be doing exactly what I'm doing today. Um, and I would tell you, looking back at the dots, the journey, the process of becoming. Because when I started off as a kid, I just wanted to be an artist, right? I wanted to draw things. I wanted to do comic books and things like that, right? And I guess in a way, I still am,
Hmm.
right? I guess in a way, I really, I still am. But there were some parts of it that I did not expect at all. like the gang banging aspect, or the being homeless as many times as I did, or the multitude of losses I've had to endure, and things like that, just to travel from one state to another, and to be able to have experienced life. And for most of us who go through this, it can that experience can feel like it has overextended its stay,
Yeah.
so to speak. Like
Yeah.
it just drags on, right?
Yeah.
It really truly just drags on. And it's only because I think we slow down those moments. The experience is worth the slowdown of our own thoughts and spirit to be able to fully take it in. Um, but also, I also want to say that as we look at it from that perspective, look at the age that we are now, and we still can't figure out how did we fit that much into that little short time.
Right.
But I think time really has a way of putting you or teaching you to be in the moment with the experience, because
Yeah.
lessons that it's trying to give you. But again, I've always looked at things like it's a lesson to learn.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. Yesterday, for example, I got a message from a friend saying her horses had gotten out and asking me for help. Turned out they were my horses. And yeah, so it's cold outside. We've got some pretty deep snow, and now I'm going on an adventure with my husband and my son to go grab our 5 horses from the neighbor. More often than not, I think we can be frustrated for the interruption and having to do this and how inconvenient. And I chose to just embrace it, love that I was outside with my husband and my son, and just admire the now, I guess, because why in the moment be frustrated? It doesn't do me any good. It wouldn't have helped in making the situation better. It's a simple thing in the end. And
Hmm.
now I
Okay,
want to go for a
okay.
walk every day.
See, and I love that you said that, right? Because although it may be something simple to us, right? Because it's a sense of peace that comes along with that. To be in the moment, no worries. Yesterday doesn't exist, tomorrow doesn't exist, but right now, this is what I have. Even in the next moment, everything could change, and you begin to really appreciate the little things, right? The wind across your face, maybe the leaf flying across, because you may never see those. You're not going to see that same exact leaf flying across the road anymore.
No.
And I think that's worth taking the time to appreciate it, right? Because these are memories that are going to be etched, and it may not seem like a whole lot to someone else, but it may mean something very important or significant to you.
Well, and I truly believe that when you take that moment in, as simple as it is, it's when you feel your heart fill
Hmm.
and that appreciation. Well, now that's what you're putting out to the universe. That's that receiving. So when you're open to receive, other beautiful things are going to continue to happen because now you're open to receive them.
Right. Okay, I like that. And as looking at everything, I think there's a deeper sense, if a person can attain it, of connection.
Yeah, that is what it is.
Okay, all right. And so I love that right there. Now, in in your line of work that you do, what are some of the things that you have seen that you
Well,
would, yeah, what are some of the things that you have seen that you can really say we don't need this, but we need to bring more of this.
that's that's a that's a big question because I've seen many things and there's certain things that stand out for other people that may have seen it differently.
Hmm.
But what it started with for myself that we needed more of this connection, more of being in touch with our land and nature and self was the first time I really witnessed this was probably 15 years ago. And I had a young woman, she was about 12 at the time, and she had suffered from a frontal lobe brain injury.
Mm.
I was in this time in my life, I was just teaching lessons, and I've always taught on the basis of horsemanship. Connection has always been really important to me, but I didn't understand it to the degree that I'm now teaching
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
When she joined me, they were out of options. Nothing was working to heal her brain after this injury. It had been 2 years, and they maybe saw a 2 or 3% healing. So they came to me to work with my horses, and I explained that I'm not an equine therapist or anything of that sort, but I am happy to just have a safe space for her while she's working through this process and have the horses. 6 months later, this young woman had a 30% increase in healing in her brain.
Wow.
She went from green all the time to wanting to lock herself in her home, to being present, to participating and helping with my lessons and other kids, to even writing this beautiful essay and coming in top 3 in one of our main events for Alberta's Horse Expo.
Okay. Okay.
What a change from the course of 30% healing to 2 years writing and standing up and presenting this young woman. Now, that was the first experience that I saw was what horses, first off, do to people, because they're not talking to you. They're just there. They're just reminding you of who you are. They're holding that space. And as individuals, when we're working with people without animals around us, that's what we're doing when we're counseling or we're being a friend, and we're holding space and giving people that connection. We're humans. We build on that connection. So when I had my Mustang Wisdom, my Wisdom of the Horse retreat in September, it
Mhm.
was many of us coming together. There was 8 of us, and I included the practitioners in participating in the journey. And I sang for people. I don't sing for anybody anymore the way that I used to.
Right.
So that in myself was, I was healing in that moment as I sang and allowed my body to express my soul. And then people full of love and light feeling like I was healing them just with my song. I had no idea that I could bring connection in that way. I've always just worked with the horse. So connection is so many different things. It's the placement of your foot. It's the child who touches your face. It's love. It's purpose. It's meaningful. And it's light.
Hmm. I like that. I like that because I've met so many people along this journey. Um, and I realized that each and every last one of us carry a part of this puzzle piece, right? That really makes sense once you begin to look at everything and what we all offer, right? The connection between each other, because it opens up the doors for more opportunity to grow, to be more effective in the world, by sharing our individual gifts and um, becoming that big giant picture after the puzzle is done, right? We always get excited putting the little pieces together, and I think that's what it's meant, especially when I hear you speak about the horses, right? Because the through a lot of reading and things like that, we read about our native our brothers and sisters, and they talk about the Mustang, so to speak, and how the Mustang, the reason why it runs the way that it does is because it carries the spiritual energy to people. Like it's like an open vessel
Mhm.
for people to be able to pour into, but each horse carries a different path. So just like you said, there'll be some horses, and I've done this before. I have a couple friends who do equine therapy, and I've ridden horses maybe twice in my life, but the first time felt so natural. I was like, okay. And my friend was like, don't worry, Jackson take care of you and this, that, another. And Jax met me and was like, just nudged me to get on. I was like, oh, this we just gonna jump right into this, huh? You're like, no hello, no nothing. You just gonna nudge me around. And so I got on, and Jax took care of me, and I love that, right? Because after that, it was something surreal about the when I was leaving, he put his head on my shoulder and kind of pulled me into him, and I was going, huh. But now her other horse just ignored me and rolled her eyes and everything. And I was just like,
Right?
you don't even know me like that, right? How you just gonna treat me like that? I don't even know you, but yet this is what we're doing, right? I just thought it was the funniest thing. Now, when what is the biggest what is the biggest myth that people have um when you tell them about the work that you do?
I would say when people say it's not for me,
Mm.
right there, as soon as I hear that, that's a limited belief.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
And when we say we're ready to grow, we're ready to be open, it's okay if you don't want to work with the horse or do anything of that sort. You don't have to be anywhere in the pen with them.
Right.
Simply are being just a part of the process. So watching and observing other people. And what I find is when people typically use, it's like when you're sitting in a conference or a seminar and they're asking you to participate and
Mm.
you're feeling, no, I don't want to. You're rejecting it. No, I don't want to. That's not my thing. So what happens is, in my belief, that's yourself holding yourself back. That's your limited belief. That's you getting in your own way because of whatever circumstances that are underlying that have happened to you in your past. There's a story there. There's a narrative you're telling yourself. And it's okay to not want to do anything. However, I would ask that person in that telling yourself this isn't for me. I don't want to participate in this way. Go a little deeper and ask yourself why. Has something happened in your
Mm.
past where you were maybe embarrassed or felt shame or guilt or fear? Maybe you got hurt. And those are the things that I believe, whether you're in the pen with the horse, online with me having a talk, wherever you are, those are the questions that you're being asked to stop and observe, breathe, and reflect on. Because that might actually be the limited belief that's stopping you from living your best life.
Mm. Okay. I love that because I hear that term all the time, living your best life. And listening to you, I could say that before listening to you, I had a totally different perspective on it, right? Like everything is perception. What do you perceive to be your best life, so to speak, right? And and with that thought, I say that your best life is completely up to your imagination, your creation, your own, as you say, your own limited beliefs or unlimited beliefs, so to speak. But I also think that that goes into how well how well connected you are to your consciousness, and how well your consciousness is connected to everything else outside of you, right? And is internalized. How do you process that information in a way to where it makes sense to the people observing, so to speak, right? Because we can all do things in this world. I know there's a lot of things that I do that people look at me and go, yeah, right, I'm not doing that, right? And then there's some things that I do that people can really understand, but I'm also very quiet. I don't like to tell people what I do. I just like to do it, because for one, I don't like being told no. So I'm spoiled in that way. I'm very spoiled. Um, but with that being said, wouldn't it how would you how would you help someone obtain that belief system that's going to be beneficial for them in their journey?
Yeah. No, that's a good question because everyone's journey is unique in their own. I do feel that with the work that I'm doing, they've already been working on themselves and they're
Mm.
open and they're ready to explore these other parts that maybe they're just stuck on.
Okay,
So
okay,
I would just refer to it is that perhaps they have some stuck energy. And by coming into nature, because all life is energy, in my opinion, and
okay.
that's how it's
Yes,
shared most of the time.
yes.
So we go into a space with that person, or I go into a space with that person where being an empathetic individual, I can feel them. I can feel that
Mm,
stuck. I can feel where the brace, where the resistance is, and I can feel where the flow is coming from. Again, that's where the horses help a lot. So if I get to utilize the horse is abrupt. They are going to model and mirror an individual's true self, but they also provide that instant feedback. And that allows me to even more quickly get results with them because
okay, okay,
I can feel that shift or change in their body and energy as well.
okay,
So when I would work with that person, it would be with the mindset that they're already ready to be there. That they can be resistant. They can say, "Oh, maybe this isn't for me," and they can have whatever resistance they might be pushing back on. But the intention is to help them win, and every small
mm,
step is a win. Even just showing up is a win. If that's all you got today, you showed up for yourself. You showed up
okay,
to
okay.
make a difference. I want to offer a no pressure space. If you don't want to work with the horses at all, if you don't want to go for a walk, if you just want to sit and have a coffee, if you don't want to talk at all and just be alone in your space, but you want to know you're safe
Mm-hmm,
and you feel at home, that's what my goal is into bringing people into in the area that I'm working in.
mm-hmm.
So I just keep an open door and an open heart, and I just try to offer that light, and that when they're ready to step through and they're ready to make those changes for themselves, I'll still be right here. I am not going to force you to take the steps that you are meant to take. I'm just here.
Okay, okay. Now, I how did you get into this work, right? Because it's such a specific niche, right? And not everybody has the gift to be able to do something like that and be effective in it, right? Because as we all know, there's a lot of people out there that should not be doing this work,
Yeah.
right?
True.
A lot of people will look at the opportunity, and this is the one thing that I've been noticing now. There's a lot of people coming out the woodworks, and they're starting to see where they can fit themselves in and be
Mhm.
still be the manipulative, gaslighting individual that they were, just because of the sensitive nature of the work that we do, because we're with people in their most vulnerable moments,
Yeah.
right? And how, moving forward, because we got a lot of things that now that come into factor. We have AI, right? And we've just now gotten our first, or no, 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 we've just now gotten one of the many reports that are starting to come out where AI has been directing people not to be the nicest to themselves, right? I know we've seen the reports on it. And I'm not going to say anything bad about it because I don't know how far AI has gotten into my system, and Lord knows
Right.
I still like to do what I do, and everything. I still would like to be able to write emails at least.
Right.
So let's not tip the robot, with those things. But in your thoughts and your opinions, what are some of the things that we are going to have to start to implement to ensure the safety, um, of the people that we encounter, our clients, but also to make sure that they are aware of the options that are out there, whether good or bad,
Yeah.
moving forward.
Well, I took a step forward in making sure that I did some work on myself, of course, to before I really dove into this. Social work is what I
Hmm.
decided to stem into. Not because social work is about staying for me, following policy and procedure to a certain aspect. I actually did social work because it is based on community and connection and meeting certain needs. And I liked the idea that I could be my own case study.
I love that.
And yeah, and by studying myself, I don't have all the answers, but what I'm offering is my own experiences in my own losses, in my own wins, in stepping up into my authentic self. And I know a lot of people even get irritated with how much that word is used,
Mm,
but there's an attachment to that. Why? So for me, getting into this, I believe that this has been set out as part of my journey. I still don't know how it all is going to end. I just know that I'm meant to help people, and I'm meant to help people by doing what I do best. And that is working with horses and communicating this path, this open guide. I will try to bring awareness to it by public speaking, coming on shows and things of this sort, but
yeah.
to help people ensure that they know what's available to them and what is real and what's not. I would just ask that you follow your instinct. And if your instinct is not, if you haven't been listening to your body, well, that's maybe the first place you need to start before you go into these retreats or wellness weekends or places where they say they're doing all these big things.
Hmm.
Because you don't necessarily run into people who aren't harming others. And it's not intentional. They don't mean to. They think they're doing good, but they maybe don't have the wisdom and the humbleness that have come in those experiences yet.
Mm,
And that's okay too. They hopefully will learn. So the way I protect the people I worked with is I am always very open to also say, I might not be the right fit for you.
yes,
And
yes.
if at any point you feel, yeah, I'm not feeling you, that's okay. I will either help you find somebody who fits what you're looking for, or you just carry on. I will only, anybody I feel that is truly real and cares, that will be their main thing. They
Mm,
will take that responsibility off themselves and pressure that people might feel with the people pleasing need, to say, you don't have to be afraid. I'm totally okay with that. Because I'm like that. If I meet somebody that I don't align with, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt one or two times, sometimes even just once. And I will say, I'm sorry, this just doesn't work for me. And
yeah,
I will find somebody else. Because I'm
yeah.
trying to live my best life too. And this is I mean, if I'm being just myself, there's a lot of snakes in the garden. So you gotta be careful.
You have to be careful.
Yeah.
Oh my God. See, I think what's catching a lot of people now is because some of those snakes are starting to rear their head, right? Because they realize is that, and I could be totally wrong when I say that, but what they're starting to realize is that those of us who have gone through some of the most traumatic things, we see the red flags with people, even those that say that they have others genuine uh, um thoughts into consideration, right? They're out here trying to do it, but they have ulterior motives as well. And those of us who have sat back and looked and was like, nope, this is not good. Because just like yourself, I'm also a firm believer. Look, if I'm not the person for you, I know a lot of other people that I can connect you with, right? And I will give you the list and let you go through and determine for yourself. Because just because I'm not a great fit for you, your thoughts and your opinions about me, I don't want to affect what you may like or dislike about the next person. Form your own opinion about that, right? That way you can make the best possible choice or decision for yourself. And look, I am all for it. Okay, I am definitely all for it. Now, going back to what I asked before we kind of went off track, how did you get into this work? How did you get into work?
Sorry.
Because you mentioned experience,
Hmm.
right? And that right there is a journey and a process within itself.
It is, and I believe that lots of people go through different things in different ways, and we
Mm,
have to remember that everyone's experience is their own, and
yes.
what might seem like, oh, that someone might look at yours and say it wasn't as bad as mine. Don't do that,
Yeah. Ooh,
because
ooh,
be- yeah,
yeah.
be- because when I had my son, for example, I carried well, everything was beautiful, and I ended up having an emergency cesarean. For me, I had never broken a bone. I've never had anything of that sort happen in my life where suddenly my life and my son's life are on the line,
Mm,
and I don't have control of any of it. We were fine in the end. Everything was okay. Where someone else's story might be way, way, way different
yeah.
and dramatic in a sense of they did lose or whatever happened. And I'm so sorry for you and that those things happened. But I also deserve that sympathy and understanding that my
Hmm.
lived experience, maybe not the same, but scary for me. I've never had that happen before.
Right. Right.
Same with losing a parent. I've lost my father-in-law, and then and my daughter, when I had her, she was only a month old, to 9 months later, losing my own father. There's things that happen. And yes, I locked my heart in a box. I kept it there for 5 years. I put my head down and worked, and I didn't care what anybody else had to say. I wouldn't say that I was mean. I just wasn't myself. My light was dimmed and turned off.
Mm, makes sense.
So I have lived certain experiences that have shown me that when we turn ourselves off, when we disconnect from self, what that looks like. But I also know what it looks like to rise from the ashes and let go of the shackles and say, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm not living on purpose. This isn't serving me anymore.
Hmm. Hmm.
And well, what always brings me back has been my horses, because
Okay.
they do no BS. You're
Yeah,
either
I like that. She said they do no BS. We not putting up with your stuff today. Okay, we're not doing
no,
it.
no. Even I have two books that I've written in, and both are of these epiphanies, life experiences. One is Playing Small. It's an Ignite Your Adventure Spirit, but the one I just wrote in an Ignite Impact, and it's just a co-author. It's a chapter in the Ignite
Hmm.
series. But that one specifically in the Ignite Impact is actually about how my horse forced me out of my victim state to just express, to feel, to let it go, all the disappointment and sadness that I had. And he fought with me. We were getting nowhere. He would do nothing that I have asked. And I got mad, and I wasn't the nicest in that situation, but he would not let me get away with it. And then when we finally did, it was because I finally just let go, and I cried and I released, and then he just stood there and he just let me sit on his back and do whatever processing I needed to do. But then we had the most beautiful ride. And I was grateful for him and thankful because he forced me to deal with it.
Mm,
Not everybody gets those experiences, and I just got into this work in saying, I get you, I see you,
hmm.
and perhaps this method may help you if you're open to trying it. And if
Very
not,
true.
well, at least you'll just have some fun.
See, I like that because the more and more I get the chance to experience other people's stories, right? I realize that each and every last one of us are built slightly different, right? In order for the work that we do, right? So my philosophy, because I do work with a lot of men, and the unfortunate part about working with a lot of men is that men carry a lot of things that we do not talk about. And I'm talking about, yeah, depending on how old that man is and when their journey really started to take form and life really started to test them and beat them around and things like that. And they had to learn to be tough. They had to learn to be quiet. They had to learn to express themselves in a way to where others would not judge them for being weak, right? That's so when I go to these men, what I have realized for myself and with these men require an empty vessel. And what I mean by that is that they're not here to um they're not here for the story that I have, right? They're here for the knowledge that I carry, for the tools that I have developed over time.
Mm-hmm.
My presence there is just a validation that they're not the only one going through it because I'm sitting there with them. But what I realize is that they need somewhere to be able to dump into that's not filled. And when you're dealing with 10, 15, sometimes 20 men and everything like that, you have to be totally empty about those things. Like no emotion at all involved, but the curiosity for wisdom and knowledge. So that's for me, every experience is different. Now I've talked to people to where they've connected with their clients on a different level of emotional awareness or emotional intelligence. There's a difference. I keep trying to tell people there's a difference between being aware and being intelligent. And those are the individuals I believe need more of a nurturing sort of approach, right? So I do believe that once we understand that, it helps us really to understand what we have in front of us to be able to offer other people. Now I could be totally wrong in that as well. Like I don't know. I'm still a student in it, so I'm still trying to figure it out as I go.
But aren't we all students?
Yeah, so I'm just like, I could be wrong, but the beautiful thing that I do enjoy about the work that I do is that there's no right or wrong answers to it, right?
Yes.
It's what works for other people, and we just offer different pathways to help others get to where they need to be in order to heal, to be able to articulate, but also express what's going on in a more healthier way, right? Because through the experience, and that's another thing people are coming to us for is for that experience. But we have the narcissists out there, and I've ran across two and everything, and they actually almost tricked me till I got to a point to where I'm just going to see how this plays out, right? And it became one of those things, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not. I don't want to play anymore. Like this is crazy. And so what I did is that I never called this person out. I didn't call him out, but what I did is I put our conversation out on the social media so people can see, and I even blocked their person's name out because I didn't want people to come after them. And I was like, just so you know, since I know that you're watching me, this is a conversation that we just had. And if you thought that I was trying to be um if you thought that I was trying to be mean towards you, and I was because of what I said, well, let's see what your peers think about this. And so I put it out there, and she messaged me like a week later and was like, I did not know that I was doing that. I said, you probably should stick to something other than what you're doing right now because you're going to do a lot of damage that we have to repair. I was like, and it's not fair. I understand. I've already had you. I've already listened to it. I understand where you're coming from, but maybe this isn't for you. And boy, was she angry with me. She was so angry with me. Um, so now,
Well, People will be, right? It sometimes
Yeah.
even in the work I've done, they might be happy because now it's in their face.
Mm.
Some of the things that they maybe didn't want to work through. But I have been fortunate that they it's on their mind. So even if they're mad at me, even if they're mad at the situation, I have
Hmm.
watched them still do the work without me there.
Okay. Okay. I like that because it shows that what you've done has been effective, and they were paying attention to them. They it's that old saying, most people miss out on the message because the messenger is not who they thought it was supposed to be. And that's crazy. But now here's one. Here's a quote that I learned, that actually, when I started thinking about it, I was like, wow, this really touches home. Um, I told someone, I said, the biggest part about this journey that you're going to have to get used to is that most people are afraid that you will see them the way that they see themselves when they look in the mirror.
Absolutely.
That is a hard reality because what you've done in so many different ways is shown a reflection of who they are,
Hmm.
right? But you putting it right back in front of them
And
in a
sometimes it's not what they thought it was.
yeah, it's not what they thought it was supposed to be, right? That is so crazy. Um, how can people find your books? I enjoy talking with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, the
Yeah.
books, it's part of the Ignite Humanity program. So, this is Lady JB Owen's Ignite series. They all
Hmm.
go towards building schools, so all the purchases on Amazon. So, my book, and I believe there's 26 of them, but I'm in Ignite Impact and Ignite Your Adventurous Spirit. You can also message me, and I have a couple still for sale. I just like to participate.
And that is amazing.
And then you can also find, I do my wellness weekends and retreats. If you want more information on that, I can share that too.
Mm. Now, I have a question. For those individuals that you see out there stepping into their gift, right? What is something, just something real simple? Because once I figured out what my gift was and the process that I had to go through, I was like, oh, people will never believe me, right? And because it's so simple, but yet it's so complicated because of what you have to go through, right? But once you understand it, the question is, will you become obedient to it? Would you submit to the transformation that it's trying to give you? Yeah, especially what comes along with that. So my question to you would be, if you see to those individuals stepping into their gifts, especially falling into the line of the field that you're in, right? You know what I'm saying? What would you do to give them um, the motivation to keep going when it doesn't make sense?
I had two things that came to mind.
See?
One, one is like tough love. It's selfish.
She said tough
If you
love.
know you can help people or you know your gift can make change that's positive and impactful, don't be selfish. Share.
I
And
see you've gone through this before.
yeah, yeah. And two, you're not alone. There there will always be no sayers, and there will always be those walls that you have to, or mountains that you can either choose to climb or go around. And
Mhm.
that's okay, because people, if you have a gift, and you do, we're waiting for you. We need you.
Mm.
Be a part of the ripple effect.
I love that, right? Because it was something I was listening to Dr. Miles Monroe when I was just now discovering this thing called a gift. and the reason why I was put here, right? Because that purpose came along, and I knew when I got into it, I knew that this is what I was supposed to do. Now, what I was supposed to do with it, I had no idea. I had no idea. And I was listening to Dr. Miles Monroe. He says and this is what stuck to me. This is why I pounded on it so hard to get it to where it needed to be, right? And I'm still pounding on it, and I'm still pounding on it because it's my gift. You know what I'm saying? And I want it to be perfect because for one, this is what separates me from everyone else is that this is what I focused on. I'm the best at what I do. I'm not worried about what the next person. I'm not trying to compete with nobody, but this is the best of what I do, and I realize that it stands out amongst a lot of things, amongst a lot of crowds of individuals that are looking. They're going, "Oh my God, who is this guy?" And and I never intended on that, right? Like I do appreciate the recognition, but I never intended on that. But Dr. Miles Monroe had said, when you identify your gift, you are obligated to give it out. Meaning that once you identify it, I'm coming for it. And it's your obligation to give me your gift because you don't carry it for you, you carry it for other people. Right. And I've always held on to that. I've always held on to it because I was going, you know what? You're right. I cannot carry this with me. So, regardless of what my life may looks like, if I live within my gift and I can connect to it on such a level, nothing else really matters. Nothing really matters, right? Because I'm using my gift in a way to where it is beneficial
Hmm.
for others, right? And then it's not about me. And I think that's what I love about the work that we do the most because it isn't about that. It isn't about us. So when people ask me, "Oh, what do you?" I get to see someone else walk away without carrying the burden of their trauma on their shoulders. Because for one, I want them to leave me saying to themselves, I have another opportunity to go out here and do something good for the other people around me because I no longer am burdened by this.
Yeah.
And I think that's what keeps me really going. It's not the things, it's not because the job that we do is very thankless. There's some people that appreciate it, but there's some people that's going, it's just your job. It's just the way you're supposed to be. Right. And I'm okay. Look, I am definitely okay with that. I am definitely okay with that. Right. And it's like, what else what else can you offer within within that journey with others?
Yeah.
With that being said, what are your thoughts and opinions on that before we begin to wrap up on this?
Well, it takes a long time for some people because in this journey you also have to you're still human, so you still see other people who may be aspiring where you're trying to go, and you're
Hmm.
feeling
Hmm.
like, am I making it? Am I making a difference? Am I doing this right? They're still going to have all the limited beliefs and self-talk and
Right.
worthiness that comes in. And I would just, so for me, my reminders are moments like this where we're sitting and we're talking about things and I'm sharing stories, and when I haven't seen someone in 10 or 20 years that I worked with and they pull me aside and say I changed their lives, and I had no idea. I just held space and helped, as you
Hmm.
said, release those burdens or things that were in the way. And so for me, I count my wins every day, my small wins, because that's the same thing when I'm working or training with a horse. If I'm breathing, then I'm receiving and I'm giving and I'm allowing myself to move through life with trust and understanding, and taking all of that wisdom and all of those lessons to to help others maybe ease through it a little easier than maybe I had to go through because I already
Yeah.
got to do that. So let me
Right.
take that information. And so I'm grateful for all my stories and all my things that I've gone through that make me who I am today, as well as the stories of even just the 4-year-old who's out to catch the horse who no one else could. There are
Right.
things and reasons for it all. So I hope that answered your question.
It
In
did. It did. And I appreciate that, right? Because it lets me know and lets everybody else know who's watching this right now that there are people out here that care about you, right? That are really heart centered and mean what we say and do what we mean, you know, um, because action speaks louder than words.
Mhm.
And in order for us to be able to do it, we have to have actionable strategies for people because people move along just like that, right? And because society has already scarred a lot of people, especially with therapy that they didn't need, things like that, right? You and I have both seen it before, and everything. Now, I only have a couple more questions for you. One, how can people find you?
Well, I'm still building awareness around websites and things. I've decided to create a page that's my name for speaking specifically. So,
Hmm.
Andonia Reynolds, and it'll actually take you to my Instagram. So, I use my Instagram as a way to connect people to nature through video. And
Love it.
you can watch films of my colts playing and videos of the things that we have going on to the day to day. I share that because that's my heart. What you're
Okay.
seeing is me trying to be creative and building that space of welcoming you in.
Okay.
And then I have my LinkedIn. I also have, and everything's under Antonia Reynolds. Now, if you're interested in getting to know more about my retreats and wellness weekends, I do have a page called mustang-wisdom.life. It has things happening on it, but it does give you a general idea of what that means in reconnecting to nature with me. It's always expanding, it's always growing,
I
and I
love it.
love ideas. So,
I love it. I love it. Now, my second question would be if Indonesia had a superpower, what would it be?
love.
I love it. Just I love, just love. I love a whole lot of love.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like, I mean,
Um,
I'm a mom and I'm a hard worker. And so sometimes it's love with some tough love and some bluntness that comes with it. But
mhm.
overall, it's with an open heart.
Now let me ask you a question. Being a mother, did the tough love come from you or from your children?
Hmm. I would say it comes from myself because as a parent, and maybe others would see this the same, maybe not, but from my perspective, I see myself in them.
Hmm.
So I see the places and things where maybe I would have liked to have had a little more push myself. So I
Hmm.
give that little bit of push in that direction because I maybe quit too many things too many times. But
Hmm.
also the difficult conversations that we might avoid, I also will have because I want my children to be open and feel safe as well,
Right.
that they can always come to my husband and I no matter what. We will
Mm.
have them. That doesn't mean we will protect them and hide things if they do things wrong, but we will be there to help them and support them through those difficult times.
I like that. I like that because and the reason why I say that, right? Because when my son was younger, he gave me some hard love, right? He broke up with me. He broke up with me at the age of 6. I didn't know how to feel about it. I did
Yeah.
not know how to feel about it. Okay, because ever since he was a kid, there's always been me and him, right? I didn't. I don't go to clubs. I don't go drinking. I'm not out hanging with the boys. I'm doing none of that, right? I went to work. I took him to well, actually, I took him to school. I went to work, made sure that he had everything that he needed. I picked him up from school, right? If he needed to go somewhere, I was. it was always me and him, right? Even on the weekends, it was modeled around him. Like when we get up in the morning, he knew he had to brush his teeth, get ready for the day, eat some breakfast, and we gonna go out and see what's going on in the world. So he had play dates and stuff. So I would take him to his play dates and everything. Let's just say I was the parent always in his business. Okay. You was 6 years old. I'm all up in your business. I'm all up in there. Okay. I'm all up in there. And he told me one day, Dad, I love hanging out with you and I love hanging out with my friends, but I think you should start dating so you could teach me how to be in a relationship. And I realized after the fact, it wasn't the fact of that he wanted me to start dating. He just broke up with me.
He's like, I'm just not going to be emotionally available anymore.
Right. And I'm just like, did you really just do this to me type
Yeah.
thing, right? And then I realized he did. He really did that to me. And so ever since then, that's why I was like, that's why I had to ask the question, is the hard love coming from you or the kids? Because God darn it, I didn't realize it, but I was really hurt when he did that, because I was like, what, you didn't have to do me
But
like that, right?
why?
Yeah,
Yes.
like why would you have to do me like that? It's always been, but that's neither here nor there, because if I keep going, I'm gonna cry and I'm a grown man. I should be crying like
Who said?
that.
Yeah, my girlfriend actually says that our children are part of the lessons we still have to learn about ourselves. And
Yes.
I find that really interesting. And I think that's where sometimes as a kid, I didn't always feel heard or understood. So when my son, as an example, is getting upset because he's not feeling seen or heard,
Hmm.
I really, it's hard, but I really try in those moments to stop and recalibrate, even because it depends on what kind of conversation we're having,
Yeah.
because I don't think that that's the best way for us to build a relationship is him feeling that way. But I'm
Mm.
proud of him when he articulates that. I
That's
and when
good.
he says that, I go, okay, I can take a step back. I will listen. Doesn't mean I'm going to agree, but I this is his reality right now and this is mine.
Hmm.
So, as a
Okay.
parent,
Okay.
tough love probably does go both ways, for sure. But I
Hmm.
definitely feel they are our lessons are, and we only want to see them move beyond where we are. Naturally, I feel that way.
Hmm.
I was told once that I need to shine my light so that my daughter knows how.
Oh, oh, that is good.
Yeah.
That is real good because that goes into something that I learned. One of the most precious things that I learned from being a father. Our kids are watching us because the unanswered questions or the unasked questions that they have, they keep in their head. And they learn from the things that we do, especially in times of adversity and challenge. And they look at to see how did we go through this, right? Because it may be traits that they want to pick up, or it's a reminder that although things are going good, hey, I watched my mom go through this, I watched my dad go through this, and this is how they approached it. So that lets me know that I don't have to be irate, I just have to be patient,
Yeah.
right? So I love that. Oh my God, I love that. As we begin to wrap this up, okay, well, I would love to have you back on the show as well. You just let me know when.
Oh,
But as a matter of fact, we
anytime.
got some other things going on too. We got some other things going on. We got the conference coming up in April, right? We got a lot of amazing things coming up. And for anybody out there, I'm just going to have to say that if it's your first time tuning in and you enjoy these conversations, go ahead and head on over to their YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, so you'll be notified every time we drop a new one. But also make sure you go find Adania and follow her on all the social medias. Keep track of her. You know what I'm saying? And let her know that you've seen her on the show as well. And with that being said, my friend, as we begin to close this one out, I'm gonna put you up on the screen. Leave the audience with something and let people know the podcast that brought you on. Okay. You do that for me? All right. Let's do this. All right. Here you go.
So today was a really special day in being with Grief and Loss. Let's talk about a podcast. And for those who are just looking for answers, the answer is within you, but you do have to do the work. And I believe in so much of all of you that you're more than capable. So find your way. And if you're not sure, talk to someone like Tony or myself, or find that person that you connect with. Open that door. So thank you so much for the opportunity for being on here. And I look forward to meeting you all again.